Imagine that you have a few business books in your locker. Tell me, what is your favorite business book that you've ever read? Now, I believe self development books are still sort of business books, but I have unleashed the secret. Oh, hello, ChatGPT. I have unlocked the secret to how to really read a self development slash business book. And I thought that I would share with you in this podcast episode the 5 best business books to read and how to read them. Yep. I am going to be sharing my top tips on how to read these books so that it actually goes in and you actually do something with it. Because the downfall of these books is that you can get a little bit addicted to them. You get so much dopamine from how amazing these books are, and you feel like your life's going to change in a moment. And then you find yourself a little bit down the way, like not actually have implemented anything in there. You can't really remember. You remember that it feels good, but you're not actually taking action on what you've learned. And so what happens is that your brain can get a little bit overwhelmed. You can feel really doubtful that you can actually get anything done, which impacts your self-trust. And then guess what? Your doubt gets loud, and then you go and read another book to try and cure that. And then you just get stuck in this massive cycle. So I just want to let you know that if you are reading self-development books as well as podcasts, or going, and you're just on a continual treadmill of this, you might find that a little bit overwhelming. So just a little bit of confidence there that there is a different way to approach these business books. But in front of me, I have props. In front of me, I have my favorite 5 business books and the ones that have made the biggest difference to me and my business. Just have a little tangent that we have Skylar the dog in, and she's just woken up. So let's see if she becomes a pain in the bum. If she does, I will pause recording. I can hear her. She wants to sit on my seat. Oh no, she's gone back to sleep. Okay. It's like, it's like when you have a baby and you're like, they're stirring. I'm like, are they going to go back to sleep? Before I continue, can you go and make sure that you've subscribed or followed wherever you're listening or watching? It means such a difference. It means such a big deal. Like, we love it. Hannah, as you know, my podcast manager, we both just get so excited every single time, and we'll say like, oh, we've got more followers, and the growth of the business is, well, the growth of my business is brilliant at the moment, but also the podcast. Very excited. Okay. So first up, number 1, the must-have book that all business owners must read. And I have had him on the podcast. He was a guest last year, The Big Leap by Hendricks. Now, this book, just put it here. There you go. This book changed my life. And as you can see, there are loads and loads and loads of post-it notes. When I've told you these books, I'm going to tell you how to read them to get them in, by the way. So I'm going to do this in stages. But this, like you can see, notes and highlighted. I really love Audible. Audible's really good at accessing some of the really good books, but you want to get a paper copy. So anyway, I'm going to talk about that in a minute. The Big Leap talks about the different stages of where doubt and your imposter syndrome and your energy levels can really get in the way of your business and your business growth and showing up in your zone of genius. Gay talks about your upper limit problem. And one upper limit problem that I had was that when things were going well, I would sabotage them and have an argument with somebody or have a pity party and feel like a victim because of my sad childhood, get the violins out. That I'm not dismissing, by the way. Feel your feelings, and I do feel my feelings, and I'm healing. I've healed. Like, I can tell my story now without crying. That's a big deal. Like, I never used to be able to do that. But this book showed me that some of the behaviors that I was attached to was actually because I was like, my doubt, and well, sorry, not my doubt, but my ego wanted me to stay in the familiar of misery. Even though I wanted joy, it was so unfamiliar that it kept launching me back into the horribleness of what mindset, and when you've been through some really horrible shit, what it can do to your head. So The Big Leap. This guy is amazing. And if you want a little tester, go and find episode 172, I think. I'm actually going to find that. I'm going to pause and find it. It wasn't episode 172. It was episode 216. But go and find episode 216. My interview with Gay Hendricks, it's game changing. So, number one on my list of the business books that you must read as a small business owner, The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. Right, I put these in order and they are not in order. For goodness sake. Number two, Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. This book is gorgeous. By the way, I've read books 1, 2, and 3 multiple times. I'm talking like 10 times. They're my 3 favourite books in the whole entire world, apart from the Northern Nights trilogy, but that's another story. Big Bit Magic, Elizabeth Gilbert. Now, Elizabeth Gilbert, having read Eat, Pray, Love, learned a lot about fear when she wrote that book. And actually, you learn a lot. If you've read Eat, Pray, Love, it's a gorgeous book. It's brilliant. But you hear how she transitions into her most vivid self, my kind of messaging. But this one is where she goes into loads and loads of detail about fear itself and how, as a creative individual, you can hold yourself back by that fear and those limiting beliefs. So it's a really important lesson. There's a brilliant part when she talks about ideas and how they just sort of float about and then they sort of land in your head, and how this poet that she knew used to talk about catching an idea by the tiger's tail and yanking it all back. But it's honestly a beautiful book, especially if you are a product-based, handmade, creative business. It's pretty special. But also, even if you aren't creative in that way, it's incredibly important to read, because as business owners, we're creative anyway. So it needs to be part of in our locker to really lean into that creativity as much as we can. Okay, so that's number 2. I'm getting really anxious about Skylar. I think I'm going to have to get her up. I'm going to, again, pause so I can get her up on the seat. I'm always so ambitious that I think that having your dog in your office studio when you're recording our podcast. God, I always say that how ambitious somebody is how much they're willing to carry from the car to the house. I only do one trip. That's how ambitious I am. Number 3, we have Jen Sincero, You're a Badass at Making Money. This book, look how many post-its are in that. Oh, God. Absolutely. Oh, literally, look. I love this book. Now, this book I have read twice, but I've read it 3 times, I think, but I've actually listened to it more on Audible than anything else. And there's a big reason for that, because Jen absolutely smashes how she talks about money. The way she reads the book is exceptional. The like, if you've seen Jen on Jen, like she's my mate. Hi, Jen. If you've ever watched her on any podcasts or any interviews, the way she comes across, it literally could be your friend. And I think that that's what's really empowering about this money book, because it talks about some really important things to do with your money mindset, but does it in a way that doesn't feel threatening at all. It feels so warming and nurturing and just giving you a really, really wonderful kick up the arse, but gets you going. And I think I read it first and then I read it again or listened to it immediately after. And I used to, this was probably a couple of years ago, if I was ever feeling a little bit more wonky than I wanted to, I'd put that on. She was in my Warrior Energy Toolkit, Jen. Loved it. Gorgeous book. So and remember, your money mindset dictates so much about your business. I have got some money mindset episodes coming up, as well as a money mindset masterclass and course coming up in the near future. So keep your eyes out for that. But Jen, the way Jen talks about money is gorgeous. So get that on your list. Number 4. Now, this one's a little bit out of field, but my godfather lent me this book. I've still got, if this is his copy, I'm giving it back to him. I need to. It's a little bit sun bleached now, but sorry, Uncle Chris. I'll buy you a new one. So this book is The Purple Cow by Seth Godin. If you don't know who Seth Godin is, where have you been? If you've been hiding under a rock, he's bloody brilliant. And he has written so many blogs. He is a chief marketeer, but the way he writes is very, very good. He's straight talking. There's no fluff. He's not going to take you around the houses to get to the point. He's going to get right to it. But The Purple Cow is all about how you need to stand out with your business, and how are you going to do that? What is your magic sauce? What is the purple cow? Because the way of marketing has changed. Now, this book is probably about 20 years old, actually. Still stands It is incredible. And what I also learned from this, which is another book that I read, but it's not my favorite, is The Tipping Point. The Tipping Point, yeah, 2002. Bloody hell. Bloody good though. Really, really important book to read. It just gets you in the frame of mind of how do I stand out. And right now you might be listening out thinking, I have no idea. Oh my God, you just overwhelmed me. That's why you need to read the book. He's going to take you through step by step. Seth Godin, if you go and watch any podcast, YouTube, he does a lot of keynote speaking gigs, right? But he doesn't ever leave his house. He doesn't ever fly anywhere. He's like, I'm done traveling. So he'll do keynotes. He did a recent keynote for Monday.com that I watched. He's just sitting indoors. Brilliant. Purple Cow by Seth Godin. And this one I've spoken about a lot, this book. But the reason, and remember, this is the order that you read it in. I think if you feel good about your money mindset and your doubt, just go straight to Purple Cow. But when your business is ready to scale and you want those bigger figure months and you need to bring in a team, The E-Myth by Michael Gerber is a go-to book. I talk about this book so much because of how much impact it made on my business. Now, Michael talks about much less. There's a lot of folded pages in this one. There's highlighting as well. Michael talks about McDonald's a lot in this business as well as other businesses, but talks about the vision that you need as a business owner, the different levels of being a business owner. So you're entrepreneur, manager, technician, as well as how to scale and organize your business so that it can be franchised. Now, the reason he says that is because it's very easy to delegate into new roles and hire if you apply a franchise model first. It's like looking ahead, like my business is built to scale because I have different roles within the business with different roles and responsibilities and process underneath each of those roles. I'm most of those people as well as Hannah and Sue's, but what it means is that if when we take on more people or I give more responsibility to Hannah and Sue's, I can give it to them like plonk, not, oh God, what can I delegate? They just get a role. I found that really, really empowering. Part of the Productivity Academy, my course on productivity, is I give a massive bonus of the structure I have. So you can just tweak it for yours. So easy because it took me weeks. Weeks to do it for myself. But once you get it done, it's done, and you can buy, the course and, get access to it. But this, I think I need to do it as a standalone PDF. Actually, I will. If you want that, tell me and send me a DM on Instagram and I'll get it to you. But the way he talks about business, and also there's a really key part when you're growing and you get scared. There's this mindset of it's quicker to do everything by myself. I might as well do it myself. And it's actually not. It's about empowering those people underneath you because you are the CEO, you're the entrepreneur, you're the one with the vision that has to lead the way. You're the beacon of light leading everybody else. And if you dip down into those other roles, you're doing a disservice to the vision of the business that you're creating. So 100% get that one. Now, they're my 5 business books that you must read. But if you're listening to this thing and I've read all of them, I've got a couple of bonuses for you because I like to under promise and over deliver. Now, I am new to these guys, newish. They are Dan Sullivan and Dr. Benjamin Hardy. The way they see the world and the way they see mindset is phenomenal, but built to great success. So if you want to up level your mindset a little bit more, then go for these 2 books. I can't hold them both at the same time because of the mic. So no, I can't. We've got Be Your Future Self Now, and X is easier than 2x. I believe this one came first. They've got a lot of books. They've got Gap in the Gain as well. Gap in the Gain is really, really good. But both of these are about thinking bigger, dreaming bigger, because the fundamental of this is that if you want to scale to 10x, I'll just making sure I'm not mute. No. If you want to scale your business and you have a goal and you say, right, how can I double that? There's loads of different ways that you can double a goal, but there's less ways to 10x a goal. And so you become much more laser focused and streamlined in your approach with your energy and your clarity in order to achieve that goal. Be Your Future Self Now is all about having the vision of who you want to become and being that person now. Like, what would that person think about the decisions you want to make? They're going to look after you. They're going to make those CEO decisions. They're going to take their business seriously. They're going to schedule their freaking marketing. Like, come on, my love. Schedule it. Sit down. Block the time out. I know you're not doing it still. Come on. This is brilliant. So I thought I would add in. Now, beautiful, these 7 books, but what's the point of reading them if it's just going to go in one ear and out the other? So here is my top tip to reading these books. When you are reading them, don't just like read them all in one go and just, like binge them in a weekend. Get yourself your journaling, get yourself your writing pad, sit down and journal every single time something comes up into your head. Sit down and write about it. Then with every one of these books, there's always homework at the back of every chapter. At the end of every chapter, there's always some kind of questions. Do the questions. And then from each chapter, create an action plan of what you are going to implement and when you're going to implement it by. Now, if you're a client of mine, tell me that you're doing this so I can hold you accountable. Incredibly important. If you're in the Vivid Business Club, tell all the members so we can hold you accountable, to go and put it in the Facebook group. But it's incredibly important to actually absorb the information that you're receiving and create a plan to implement and execute what you've learned. Otherwise, all you've got is a lovely dose of dopamine and a whole load of overwhelm. Make sure that you are not just addicted to these books on a constant treadmill and you're actually doing something with them. It's incredibly important. I read another book recently, another self-development book that I didn't put in the list because it's very, very good. It's called Rich as Fuck by Amanda Frances. It is good and I really liked it, but I'm more of a head. It's more, you need to be further along in your mindset journey, I suppose. So if you've read all of these, go and read that. I journaled all the way through it and it felt like I'd been on some massive CEO strategy weekend. It was incredible. I had so many mindset shifts. It was so powerful, but that's because I journaled all the way through it. So go and treat yourself to a new writing pad. As always, if you haven't subscribed or follow, go do that for me, babes. Give me a high five into the ether. I love telling you all about my books. I am on a mission to read 100 books in my 40th year, and I'm on track. I love reading them, absolutely addicted to it. But more novels. And actually, if you want a little tip, Frida McFadden is my new favourite author. Very easy to read, always a twist. Love a thriller, a little bit of romance, gorgeous. So go and get your hands on that. Okay, I will see you or hear you, or I'll be here for the next episode. Have a wonderful day, whatever you're doing. Speak to you later. Thank you so much for listening to the No Rest for the Vivid podcast. Written, produced and hosted by Claire Hill, and music has been composed by my brother, Gilbert.